Magic, William Anderson.
Well, I was afraid there was going to be like 5 people here, so I'm really relieved. Thank you for coming. You guys know Mando, right?
Hi. They call me MandoPony. It's so good to see you, William.
Nice to see you.
Thanks. So, first off, I just want to apologize for my voice in advance because it's extremely hoarse, and yeah, it's not that great. What? Funny joke. It's a very hoarse voice. Oh, I see what you did there. Alrighty. So let's just cut right to the chase. William Anderson, you're an absolutely brilliant composer, and I just want to say, first off, thank you for the work that you do on the show. You add an invaluable portion to it, and you just make it extra magical, and thank you very much for that.
Yay.
So how long have you been composing for?
Long time, about 20 years.
Wow. And what got you started in it?
My start in the business, it was by accident. I was trying to be a rock star and I failed, and all my friends were getting older, and I thought it was pretty lame to be like in my mid-20s, and you know.
What are you saying, William?
Well, what I did is I went and got a regular job at an advertising agency doing public relations and managing pro audio stuff.
Oh, okay.
And they needed, the creative director said, we have a Yamaha spot. We don't have money for music. Do you want to, take a crack at it? And I said, I do it for free. And all the creatives were sniggering at me because I was an executive in a suit writing music. But the creative director approved it, and then the producer was over at Ogilvy and Mather, and he called me again, and he said, Will, you want to do some more stuff? And I said, yeah. So I wrote some stuff for He-Man.
Nice.
And he said, it's great. It's approved. Send me an invoice for 8. And I sent him an invoice for $800, and he called me and he said, Will, it's $8,000. And so I quit my job.
And he said, you know what? This is what I need to be doing.
It took me 4 hours to write it, do the math.
Wow. Nice.
And I was able to, keep going ever since then,
Yeah.
And I guess the moral of the story is, if there is one, and there's really not, but for me, it was, I had to kind of give up on my dreams to get them. I was chasing them so hard, and they were so important to me, and it was when I finally said, you know what, let's get a life here and move on, that's when it fell into my lap. So it was kind of a funny thing.
Okay. Nice. So was He-Man your first project?
He-Man was just a commercial. These were commercials.
Oh, just commercials.
I started doing a lot of commercials, right. He-Man, I didn't do the show. I did a bunch of commercials for Mattel and National Toyota spots and Gallo Wine and Barbie and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've done just a small amount of study as far as composing goes, and I hear that a lot of composers do start with television and commercials, and you really have to work your way up the rung.
I kind of never got farther than television and commercials.
Well, okay. Here's the thing, though. You're extremely awesome, and I'm just saying that I don't know. The shows that you're doing are quite good, and
I love writing. I love doing this. I still love it. It's so much fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, what other projects have you done up until this?
Well, after the, I did jingles and ads. They're called jingles, even if they're just commercial scores. I wrote a spec theme for a show called Biker Mice from Mars. And
nice. Give it up.
That was my first show. And it became a big hit. I wrote this funny little ditty, and Rick Unger heard it, and he called me and goes, man, that is so good. That is so good. I played it 27 times. I'm going to go make a promo for that and sell the show. And they did.
Nice.
And we did like 65 of them. And it was a hit all over the world. My friends on the road would say, Will, the only constant in our travels out here on the road, there's CNN and Biker Mice from Mars.
Nice. I was a huge fan of Earthworm Jim.
That's the best main title I've ever written.
Yo, my God, I love that. Such a groovy guy.
It's so good. I sang it. I orchestrated it. I wrote the lyrics. I did the whistling.
That's so fantastic. You did the whistling, too?
Yeah, I did the whistling.
That's fantastic. Could you do it now?
Right?
I'm geeking out now. That's so cool.
I want you guys to come home with me. You're easy. That's great.
I don't think that was an official offer, guys, just so you know. So, whenever you compose for My Little Pony, what's the standard procedure? What's the first thing that you do?
The first thing I do when I get a locked print, I work off the locked print, which is the same thing you see on TV. Composing is a post job. We're in post. So the same time the effects editor gets it, or the ADR guy, or the post people, the composer gets it, and we all go to work on the same thing. There's time, visible time code printed on it, and so it's my job to get all the music done for that. First thing I do is get on Skype with Jason and or whoever the director is, Woody, Lauren, and we go through the film from all the way from the beginning to the end. Usually Jason will have spotting notes, and we discuss it. Yes, no, maybe so. Should we leave this open? Do we need to really clobber this? Is this an epic set piece? What are we going to do for this guy, that guy, this location? And then once we get the map, that happens on a Thursday morning. Then I just start writing like crazy. I work 7 days a week. And when I get it done, I send I do a composite rendering of the movie dialogue and the music, and I send it to the approval committee, which is some people, at the Hub or Hasbro and up at DHX. And generally, at this point, everybody just says it's great, except for Jason. And, my notes were, a lot of times Jason has been just going, Will, you just killed it. It's great. And he'll have a couple of what I call tickles, can we slide this earlier? Can we make that later? What were you thinking here?
What are you thinking?
Because it seems wrong to me. And, we make a few adjustments. I make what's called an OMF file, which is the delivery format for the post house, Dick and Rogers, and I upload it to their servers, and then I start again Thursday,
Yeah.
It's just relentless.
Yeah. And working in television, that's pretty much standard, right? It's really, really tough.
And animation is the hardest schedule.
Because, animation is pretty much wall-to-wall music with most shows, right?
There's a lot of there's a lot of music in it, and it's also very, specific and linear, tight. And it's got to be just right and flow. And
how do you feel whenever you approach an episode of My Little Pony? It to me, it harkens back to a lot of the classic era of cartoons, like the classic Warner Brothers cartoons that have the really lush, full orchestral scores, and I really appreciate that. Were you specifically influenced by that kind of music? Like, was it a conscious decision on your part to make it lush and orchestral and sort of like classic animation?
It happened over time.
Okay.
At first, when we sat down, it was, I wrote hippie folk psychedelic music in the beginning. And
I would have been okay with that. That would have been cool.
I think so too. And that's actually what got me the job. They invited 3-4 people to submit, and mine got. I was using like Mellotron flutes, like the ones at the beginning of Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
And guitars, and it was kind of trippy, and they liked it, and I got the show, the underscore, and but then as we began to score the show, it just kind of became its own thing, and over time it became primarily an orchestral score.
Nice.
And then about show 8, season 1, I remember thinking, you know what? We just need to score these like little movies, and then so now I try to find a through line, and we try to keep it coherent and make sense and follow the arc of the story, and we look at each one as a little movie.
That's great. That's great. Do you remember a specific I know that they're all a blur.
They are.
But do you remember a specific episode maybe that was especially challenging?
Anything with a huge epic set piece takes forever.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to die doing those long 2-3 minute cliffhanger scenes. They just take forever and ever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
The linear, transparent, more minimal orchestral underscore, it's tricky because it has to be just the right notes and combination of things and tell the story and not be intrusive, but it goes a lot quicker. the set pieces to get that sort of huge sound and have it all map the action and build and release. And so any I can think of a lot of them. There have been many set pieces. All those take a long time. Just is what it is.
Yeah, part of the beast.
Yeah.
Compared to the other cartoon shows that you've done, how would you say MLP? How does it stack up against the others? Is it more challenging, or is it just different challenges?
It's more challenging because actually of you guys,
You put the pressure on this man.
well. All these people are going, Will's so great, these are great scores, and everything.
It's true.
But, it makes me like every week I go, well, okay.
Now I've got to do a really good job.
So because of the success of the show and everybody, there's a lot of people that like the music, every show has to be great no matter what, or it's good, or that I feel proud of it, and that I think it's doing the right job, and I think it's good, so... the approval process and the schedule is about the same as other shows, but because of its, everybody's...
It's scope now.
Yeah.
There's a lot
I kind of feel like I have a duty to make sure it's really, really, really good all the time.
And I'm sure there's a lot of, I would imagine if I was in your shoes, there would be pressure, but also a lot of inspiration from just seeing the locked picture, just because of how well it's written and acted and boarded and shot and everything and animated. I mean, how inspired do you feel usually at the end of seeing an episode?
It's great.
Yeah.
That's what really makes my job a pleasure, is to look at the shows, and it's so good to get, like you said, everything you said, the editing and the storyboarding and the directing and the voiceover cast and the quality of the animation that they're doing is from, all just really, really good. So
kind of helps to make the job easier.
Makes the job really easy.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Besides MLB, do you have any shows that you'd like to talk about that you've done that are especially memorable?
Well, recently, I have other opportunities that I am pursuing and doing, and they're really, really cool. But I don't know if I can talk about them. So
all under wraps.
All under wraps.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I had a fun thing. You guys know Mike the Microphone?
I think I've heard of him.
He did some rapping on the Pac-Man theme for me. That was a lot of fun.
What?
It's true. A friend of mine asked me to write the theme for a new Pac-Man show. I think it's going to be on Disney. And it was after the Seattle convention, and I had seen Mike doing his thing with his partner on stage, just rocking out and rapping. And I call him, hey, you want to do the rap for this? And so they did it via remote. They recorded it up at his place and sent it to me, and I sent it in to the people at Bandai and Disney, and they approved it. So
that's awesome.
Way to go, Mike. Also, Mando here. Mando's played on a couple of my things too. I'm an equal opportunity employer. He's played mandolin on Mando's played mandolin on a couple of cues, and I probably will continue to use him on other stuff. He was in good company on one. I had Weird Al and my friend Michael Thompson, who plays with the Eagles, and Don Henley was playing piano, and Bermuda Schwartz, Al's drummer, on drums, and Larry Antonino on bass, and they were doing some stuff for a show I'm doing, and I had Mando add mandolin to it. That was fun, and then he added some mandolin parts on another show that you guys are really familiar with. And,
well, I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, one of the.
I don't.
I put him to work on season 3. He has some of his. You'll hear some.
Are we allowed to say that?
I don't know.
Well, we kind of just did.
Okay, never mind.
Never mind. Nothing has happened. There will be no mandolin on season 3 played by anyone in this room. Don't worry. But I think a part of what makes one of the reasons why I love you guys so much and why I love the entire crew and everyone is the fact that it seems like you guys genuinely don't mind us.
Are you kidding? I think it's great. It's great.
And that never fails to stun me because we're so annoying. We're so enthusiastic. We just love you guys so much. And I don't know, you've always been there, and it always seems like you, like, I don't know, I specifically remember being at Everfree Northwest, and whenever you were there for all the shows and you were rocking out and having so much fun. It was great having you
I did
there.
have fun. I had fun. Fun that I felt like, did I make a fool out of myself last night? But I seem to have emerged okay.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
The best kind of fun. Now, I believe we will have some questions that are going to be moderated by the good Cowboy Dave. Is that all set up and ready to go? Do we have some questions ready? They're all going to be run through and filtered through Cowboy Dave. So if you guys could line up very orderly, neatly, be polite, line up and ask Dave, the stunning young gentleman in the ball cap over there, ask your questions for approval, and we'll get to the questions in just a few seconds. For the one, the only William Anderson, composer for My Little Pony.
How about a hand for Mando? He's really making this fun for me.
Thank you so much, and thank you for asking me to be here, William. It's my pleasure. So is all of your work locked for season 3? All done?
For season...
For season 3.
Yeah, I'm done. Done, shipped, locked.
Done.
Yeah.
Nice. And I've got a question for all of you guys. You guys enjoying EQLA so far? Yes. I got to say, this is my 3rd convention that I've been to thus far, and man, I got to tell you, it's been really fantastic. I mean, how many conventions have you been to so far?
This is my second one. Seattle
one?
was the first one, and it was like, good Lord. and
What is
I had no idea, I was like, wow. And now, I'm not an old timer, but, it's...
You're not an old timer.
Yeah, it's great to see all the, it's just great to be working on a show that has such a terrific fan base, and they, they love what we're doing, and it's a lot of fun. Been doing this a long time and never experienced this, so it's a lot of fun for me.
That's true. I had heard sort of the same sentiment from Daniel Ingram, where it's like, you work in animation and you're doing it because you love it, and you never really expect to get much of a lot of feedback. And then it's a very unique situation with this, where you can have an episode and then have it air, and it's just, well, I worked really hard on it, and I hope that people enjoy it, but it's mostly just for kids. But now you get a really big response from it.
Yeah. And that's what keeps the bar high for the score.
Nice. So keep it up. Are you ready for some questions? All right. First question, please.
I'm a big fan for many years since Poodlehead. I had one question. How was it working with Weird Al Yankovic and the entire band over the years?
Al is just an amazing, wonderful, talented guy, and
Yes.
all of the guys in the band are really nice, and they're good friends, and it was so great having him over to play. He just came over and sat down like a session guy, and he's vegan, so I made sure to have vegan food, and we just sat down and played music. He was very quiet, but Al is a real hardworking, just smart guy. They're in this. They just finished some new stuff in the studio now, and Kimo and Bermuda are coming over next Thursday to bang around with me in the living room on some stuff. They're great.
Thank you.
Hi, big fan of the work.
Hi.
I was wondering, from beginning concept to finished product, about how long does it take per episode to create the score for an episode?
I always say it's a 50-hour-a-week job, but it's sometimes more. And you realize, I have, there's kind of like 2 people working with me on the show. I have a music editor, and he puts in about 20 hours, and then I have a friend that writes with me or orchestrates for me, and she puts in a long week too. So I think if you added all our hours up, it'd be 40, 60, 90 hours or something like that.
500 hours.
A lot of hours.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi there. My question is, a few of the Brony musicians, writers, and artists have all said one way that they deal with artistic blocks is that sometimes they'll just step away from a piece if it's giving them too much trouble, and eventually come back to it again with a fresh perspective. But because of your intense schedule, sometimes I guess you're not able to do that. So when you do run into an artistic block, how do you deal with those?
Air dates.
Deadlines are a great inspiration.
It has to be done no matter what. And what I found is, having done it for a long time and knowing that the air date is not going to move and I have to deliver it, and I don't have the luxury of having artistic block. I just sit down and start writing, and even if it's terrible, I continue with it, because at some point I make a mistake, something plays backwards, I think of something else, and it goes from terrible to good, and then all of a sudden it's like, I can make this great, and I break it open, and you just have to write through it and keep going. It is nice to get space from creative works in process and come back to them and refine them. You don't have that opportunity in this type of situation.
Thank you.
Hi, I was just wondering, what's your approach to harmony or melody really when making smaller pieces for the background to the episodes?
Harmony and melody are everything, and so is the instrument choice and the orchestration, how big or thin. If it's something that's just going behind dialogue, it's written to frame the dialogue and the emotions of the character. If she's going somewhere and is getting sad and then anxious, the music goes and gets sad and anxious with her. So I let the dialogue be and the story lead the melody and the harmony. Kind of seems like it's part of it. I find what's implied. I don't really know how to answer that. Anytime I sit down to write music, something that I think is good music, it's inevitably wrong because I'm writing good music. It's not about writing good music. It's about writing the music that fits the scene that I'm looking at and the voices that I'm hearing and the story that's being told. It's part of that. So I always try to make that first. Does that answer it?
Yeah, somewhat.
I didn't. Sorry.
Sorry, it's kind of a weird question.
It's a good question.
All right, thank you.
All right.
I think good questions are hard to answer.
Yeah.
Hello. One thing I've really admired about your work is you're kind of an unsung hero of the show because you have to communicate a lot of stuff that no one's going to consciously notice, using a lot of musical shorthand to communicate to people what they should be feeling in a scene. And my question, the one example I always think of is in Ticketmaster, when the tickets are floating down a Pinky's face, you have a descending chromatic scale because that, it feels like falling. I was just wondering if you could share some more techniques like that. If there's any, oh, this is happening right now. This musical technique would really go well with this action.
Yeah, sure. You get a harmonic language and vocabulary that becomes associated with the show over time, and some of the stuff is idiomatic and typical of a lot of cartoon scores. I mean, you learn, in the Will Anderson book, flat five, always. Tritones just work for a lot of stingers and goofs and gags. And, descending whole tone or ascending whole tone is going to say dreamy, sequence coming up, or strident marcato strings, gong, 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 gong. You learn to, the tools and registration and the way the orchestra works and speaks. You develop a language that becomes consistent and the same for episode to episode. I have all that stuff in my toolbox, and like there's themes, like Rarity's theme is this precious little harpsichord ditty with leaning tones, I know that if she's there and she's being, doing her thing and complaining and wanting to be treated special, I know that that's what it's going to be. Tools.
Thank you.
I feel like I failed the last two questions.
Who or what inspired you to begin making music in the first place?
I don't know. I suppose like kids wanted to run away and join the circus. I wanted to be a glamorous rock star at some point. I think it was something to do with that.
That's so unusual, Will. What kid would want to be a rock star?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. But that changed. Like I said, it didn't work out, and then this happened. So. But I love music. I always have loved music, and film scores and listening to it has always transported me and been an endlessly fascinating thing for me. And it still is, figuring out harmony and melody and how things work together and how to record them and make them work. It's good. It's 3 in a row I failed.
That works. Seriously.
Hi, what's your favorite song you've made for the show?
My favorite what?
Your favorite song?
His favorite song? I didn't write any of them. All Daniel's songs are great. Let's give it up for Daniel.
Yes.
Was that his question?
Or what's your favorite song from the show, I mean?
Your favorite song from the show?
I am a big fan of Daniel's work. His songs are so good. I don't know which one. I remember at the gala was that in season 1?
That was in season 1. That one's my favorite because it's so Sondheim, you know?
Yeah, and the production value.
It's so good.
It's
yes.
enormous.
It's fantastic. It's just through the roof.
And the vocal production, the sound he got. So that stands out. Great quality song, well boarded, well performed, and but so many of them are good.
And then This Day Aria was one of my favorites too.
Right, that's a good one too, from the end of season 2,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
So
right.
good. It's kind of impossible to pick, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Daniel's another reason that the score remains at a high level.
Yeah.
I get those songs and I listen to them and I go, thanks.
Hi. My one question is, do you have to know what Weird Al's opinion on bronies?
What was it about bronies? What?
Weird Al's opinion on bronies.
Yes, I absolutely do, and I will tell you about it. Al loves the show and wants to be a character on it.
Well, there you go.
Oh, yeah!
I'm just imagining now a pony with these super fly dreads. I just think it'd be fantastic.
I said, Al, can I give Jason your phone number so he can talk to you about what your character might be? Al said, yeah, please. Have him call me.
And then Jay's like, oh my gosh, I have Weird Al's
So I
phone
gave
number.
Jason the number. I said, Jason, Al's, he's on the road now. I'll call him up. I talked to him a week later. He's calling me. He goes, no. I go, why? He goes, I'm afraid to. I'm a big fan. He's such a star. Do you think he'd talk to me? Do you think he'd know who I was? I go, Jason, he's waiting for your call. So that's sort of where the things are with Al. I mean, it looks real good,
Yeah. Of course, I mean, that being said, even if you're a director for a show like this, you still are not the one to have the final call on that sort of thing. So,
oh, no, it's not so easy. And Al's a big star, and there's managers, and it's not like we can just go, hey,
why don't you come on the show, brother? Yeah.
But both sides want it to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's promising.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Exactly.
Hi there. Good to meet you. I wanted to ask, what is your experience composing for live orchestras, and how likely would that be for future or past seasons of MLP? And if it's not likely, how much money do we need to throw at Hasbro in order to get it done? Because I think
Kickstarter for a live orchestra.
That would be amazing if My Little Pony had a full orchestra. Am I right, guys?
It would be awesome.
Yeah.
Not saying that it doesn't already sound awesome, but still, Kickstarter might have to happen.
Yes, I've written for full orchestras. When I started doing jingles, it was common. I got to hire most of the LA Philharmonic for stuff I was doing for Toyota, and it was, it's very expensive. None of the stuff in My Little Pony. It's all just it's all just me and magic and computers, and it'd be terrific to have a real orchestra, and but being honest, it's very problematic. You've got it's a lot of money, and it takes a lot more time, and so it's not just like giving Will an orchestra. It's like asking their whole post schedule to move and open up.
It would be a major overhaul of the entire post process.
It's
right?
real. It would be pretty hard to pull that off, and pretty expensive. But maybe
Bronies have made amazing things happen in the past.
Yeah, other things could happen. I mean, other things might happen where there was a budget for an orchestra for My Little Pony type of project.
Right. All right, I guess we'll have to wait until season 6 then.
Yeah.
Season 6. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, you know what though? I think that you know what I was talking the other day. It might be a situation where because the score is popular and Daniel's songs are popular. There might I could see some point where there would be an evening at the whatever, say it's the Hollywood Bowl where they're showing and we orchestrate it for
a live concert,
you know what I mean?
performing the songs.
Exactly.
Would you guys be up for seeing that? Yeah, bronies, make it happen.
Right.
Do it.
You could vote your favorite scenes of Underscore, and we could do
Perform it.
arrangements for live orchestra and project
That would
it.
be
right?
amazing.
Yeah.
And then get the VAs to perform as well.
Yeah. No, that would be the thing. That would be a lot of fun.
Getting Michelle Kraber would be really hard though. She's so busy. Just saying, I think she'd probably be above it. That's the only thing. That's all.
Hey there. I had a question about a specific piece of music. I know you do a lot of work, so I'll try to be descriptive. There's an episode, Family Appreciation Day. The sequence is a character, Granny Smith, describing in a flashback story. It's the origin of Ponyville. The sequence is all old-timey and sepia-toned.
Yes.
There's a piece of music in the background. It's very swelling, very emotional. Anyway, my question is, I know you include a lot of things that are inspired by other things, or they're meant to evoke other things. Like the Batman theme or the Monsters theme. I was wondering, is there anything that inspired that particular piece of music, or was that all you?
I wrote that scene with Christopher G., and sometimes he would bury references, musical references that I wouldn't understand. Our starting point, that's one of my favorite Underscore bits
Mine
from the
too.
show.
I love that scene.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's wonderful. And but really the inspiration, I wanted to do something like John Barry, like a big
very big and swell.
yeah,
Yeah,
a
but
lot
not distracting.
right.
It was
No.
just beautiful.
Yeah. So that's where I set off on that particular piece.
Oh, thank you.
Hi. I just wanted to know exactly how do you and Daniel work together?
Not at all.
Oh.
We don't. Songs are pre-production because the voice actors have to record their singing for them at the same time they're doing the shows, and then they ship that stuff out and get it animated, and that the process to get that done is months. And so when the writers are writing the shows and the songs, they're figuring out where things go early on. That's when Daniel gets together with them and writes the song and produces it and goes through that approval process. I'm post. Months later, I get it, the songs are done. We chit-chat on the phone, but in terms of our overlay on the show, there's none.
Hi. I was just wondering, about your patterns for the different instrumental setups that you have for the different personalities and the ponies on the show.
Well, some people have things that are set in stone, and some people are more amorphous. Pinkie Pie is always like schizophrenic ADD, a lot of fast classical guitar kind of stuff in the high register with like bells like
Flight of the Bumblebee.
Yeah, and Rarity is always like harpsichord and kind of regal and kind of British and snotty-ish. I'm sorry.
It's true though.
Fluttershy is kind of she started out being more hippie with like guitars and flutes, and now she's becomes more orchestral with just the woodwinds, and Applejack. I've always done banjo, good time country for her, and Rainbow Dash is used to be pretty punk, pretty chugging rock stuff. Nice. And still is in my heart, She just needs to rock, that girl.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
Yes.
Hi. So I was wondering, when you receive an episode of the show to score, are the sound effects already there for you completed? And then my follow-up question, I guess, would be, how do you decide whether to have a sound effect be like part of the orchestra versus part of like a sound effect. Versus for example, if you have two characters crashing into each other, you might have like a cymbal kind of crash, but it'll be part of the score versus something that the sound effect people did. How do you mediate that kind of process, or like how do you mediate that?
You mediate it with care and understanding. The effects are not done. Sometimes there's some key effects that are in there, but they're temporary because the folks up at Dick and Rogers get the show, The Lock, the same time I do. So the effects editor goes to work on it the same day I do.
I see.
But yeah, I always want to, like, if there's a big explosion, the question is, do we also hit it with the music, or do we clear it and leave it open so the effects really play? And by now, I kind of know what they do and what I will stay out of, and how I do things. And there's certain things you understand, like if there's a bag of feathers and the feathers are all coming down from the ceiling, I will do something for that because feathers falling down from the ceiling don't make a lot of noise.
Yeah.
So the effects guys aren't going to have much to work with. If it's a large, gunshot or something big happens, if it's within a big epic set piece, then we have to have tremendously, inspirational, heroic music that still goes on, even though the effects are huge, and I let them duke it out in post, and the effects always win.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. How harmonious is the relationship between you and Dick and Rogers, the sound effects guys?
Very, very harmonious.
Good, that's awesome.
They do a good job, and I love their mixes. I think they mix. I hear the music, and I think they do a terrific mix. So yeah, it's something that we're always aware of. And sometimes when I'm spotting, I go, "Do you want me to stay out of the way of that, or help it, or what?" It's an important thing to know.
Thank you.
This is kind of tall. I'm kind of putting up Mando on the spot with this one, but I was wondering, what is your favorite MandoPony song?
I don't know them.
Oh,
That's
come
okay.
on.
That's okay.
I've heard some of them, but it's not like I have a favorite. I'm a working man.
Yeah, he doesn't have time to sit on the internet and listen to people like me. Seriously.
I've listened to some of your stuff. I remember emailing you about it.
Yeah. We've talked about it a little bit in the past, but I wouldn't expect you to remember titles or anything like that.
His stuff is great.
You did comment on the Rainbow Dash electric guitar theme that I did at one point and stuff, and so
all the stuff that I hear from you is great. Nicely played, written well, mixed well. Yeah. That's why I hired you to play on my stuff.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, hi. I'm so short. I would like to compose my music. I'm a music student. Do you guys have any advice for me, or?
Respective of advice about what exactly?
If I wanted to compose my own music for shows, would you have...
You mean how to get work?
Yeah.
Find somebody that's making something that you think is good and work for them and tell them you just take care of the music and just find jobs for yourself.
Is good.
Yeah, and then once you never stop. And once you get a relationship with somebody, develop it and do the best work you can and hopefully get a call back. Stay in touch with them as it goes forward. I've never had an agent. All of my work is self-represented.
Really?
Wow, never.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So it's all just because of just trying to stay in touch with people and.
And you said you're going to school.
Huh?
You said you're going to school for music as well.
Yeah, I'm a music student.
That's awesome. Going to your teachers too is a great way to. A lot of times, the best way to make connections and get apprenticeships into the industry is by asking your teachers. Oh, do you know any composers? And oh yeah, well I know this person and that sort of thing. So
student films.
Yeah, and then that too. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Sure.
So when you're going through an episode, do you go through it really sequentially and try to bulldozer through getting a finished product every minute? Or will you kind of go through and then come back and rework it and add little bits and change things until you're kind of satisfied with the project as a whole?
For me, it's more the latter. Here's how I do it. And there's different ways to approach it. If there's 3 bad like say there's bad dragon lizards, and I'm doing goth rock for them, and there's 4 or 5 different little scenes for those.
Right.
A smart person would just go and score all those 4 scenes first while they had their goth rock thing working and
Right.
get them all done at once because they're all kind of the same. My process is kind of more organic. I start at the beginning and I plow through to the end, and then once I get the score done, that's when I do what I call my sift through or my comb through. I sit back and I watch the whole score and just try to see how it's flowing. And that's when I find all my mistakes. Oh, this is too crowded. This is too busy. This needs to be open. I have to get through it, finish it, and then I sit back and watch it as a whole episode. And that's a big part of my process. I need to have that day and a half. I need to get it done a couple of days before I deliver it so that I can look at it and in its entirety and make revisions to it. I don't see the mistakes until I'm done.
Yeah. All right, well, cool. Thank you very much, and thank you for doing such an amazing job with the show.
Yes. My pleasure.
So that kind of hits on what we were talking about before with how you go through the whole process and how you're not allowed to not have inspiration, basically. You just plow through and plow through.
Yeah.
And I think that something that happens to a lot of musicians, not just in the community, but just in general, is they'll start to write something and then, and this happens to me a lot too, I'll start to write something and then I don't like it, and then I sort of give up on it, and then I'm kind of depressed for a little while, and then I go eat a bunch of chocolate, and then I come back to it, and and sometimes I'll finish it, sometimes I throw it away. I have that luxury because, but whenever you're just writing and writing and writing and writing, is that also part of that process? Is you just go through, you do the best that you can, and then you'll fix mistakes and then make it better later on.
Yes, that's it. And also, what happens is, even though, often I will get to the end of the show and go watch it. By the end of the show, I'm swinging and I have it working, and I come back and I'll often redo the teaser or the first part. It's like, because that's when I was just had to keep going, and I go back and I go, God, this is awful, and I'll throw it out. What was I thinking then? I'm ruthless. Well, that's good. I throw it out. I just my assistant will sometimes be shocked. I'm just erasing stuff, and she's just aghast because we worked so hard on it. Yeah. And now she's like I am. I go, you've become a merciless killer, and and I go, you're a grim-faced, marshal of doom for these poor little MIDI notes. But it's true,
Well, it's funny. I kind of feel like I didn't learn to draw all right until I learned that, the eraser isn't a bad thing. Sometimes just getting rid of something, scrapping it, I don't think anybody should ever be afraid to just do exactly what you did. Just throw it away and then try it again. Because if it's what you're wanting to do for the rest of your life, then you should be willing to, 2 minutes of music, you know what, it's not working, let's just redo it.
Yeah. Sketch fast, make a lot of paintings, take no prisoners, kill it. Just kill it. Well, should we save a backup copy? No, just get rid of it. Move on.
I don't ever want to see that again.
We're done with that. It's hard to do. I'm working on something else, and my writing partner and I, her name's Kelly, and she's a wonderful gal.
Shout out to Kelly.
Kelly Davidson. Every time this little part of the score came up, I go, yeah, they're in the Bahamas on a calypso boat sailing. It just sounded like calypso music, and they're in school studying whatever Hebrew, and it was just so wrong. And finally, today before I came down here, I go in there and it's gone.
Yeah, it's just gone.
You were right, Will. It took her 3 days to get there.
Oh wow! So she was the one that was unwilling.
Yeah. And I was like, whatever. I don't fall down on my sword. Music is so subjective. What one person likes, another person doesn't. So I'm not the be all and end all. I'm open to collaborate with her, and I'm like, well, let's see. We can wait till the client throws it out if it makes you feel better.
And then we'll have no time to fix it.
But no, she nuked it.
Yeah.
Good for her.
So you really love working on collaborations as well.
More lately. I've been alone in a room with a bunch of computers for a lot of my life, and it's made me crazy.
Mm-hmm. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like after a hard season, I don't want to leave my studio, and that's when I know I'm really freaky because I don't want to go. I don't feel comfortable unless I'm in there, surrounded by all my equipment working, and like being outside. And there's people and birds. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's like,
Sunshine. What is this?
that happens. And then you go into post-project dislocation syndrome. That's after it ends and you don't have anything else to do, and you're like a soldier with a gun and no war to fight. You know, I'm out.
Yeah.
Isn't there a parade for me? I finished the show. It was
I just
like,
did hurrah!
yeah,
Hey.
no one cares. It's just
Well,
on.
these guys care. You said you just wrapped 3, right? Congrats.
Thank you.
All hail the chief.
That was nice. That was unexpected and nice. Thank you.
There you go. There you go. You know, being ruthless on yourself, I think, is definitely a good thing because, like, and it's like you said, it's always subjective. I don't ever think of music as being either good or bad. I think that there are some choices that you can make that may not be wise for the situation, perhaps. But you know, again, it is very subjective, and it's something that I tell a lot of people is if you're making music in order to please others. I mean, unless it's like, you know, if you're working for a client, then obviously it is about, you know, it's a situational thing and you're trying to please the client. But if you're just making music for yourself, if you're making music that you enjoy, you know, and if you're not liking it, just get rid of it and just write something that you like, then that's the most important thing. Because if you like it, then there's going to be somebody else out there that likes it. And if you're doing it just for other people, then you're kind of in the wrong business anyway.
Yeah, it's a complicated thing. I remember I'll never forget episode 8 of season 1. I had so many people telling me what to do.
Yeah.
10 people all telling me what to do, and sometimes one person would be saying, "Please do," or you know, one person would be saying, "This is so great," and the other person would be saying, "This is terrible. Take it out."
Yeah.
And I would go, "Well, does it live or die? Who do I listen to?" So all the input sometimes gets confusing. And I remember on show 8, I took it all and should this be said?
You don't
Well,
need to
I
be
threw all the
yeah,
notes
go
in
for
the
it.
trash. What I did is I took everybody's input and I threw it away. And I wrote the show. I'm just going to write what I think is right and try to get all these voices out of my head. And that is the show where everybody goes, "God, Will, you nailed it. This is just what we wanted."
When you as soon as you stop listening to me, you make really good music.
Sometimes you have to know when to just run on your own heart.
Yeah, I heard that happened with the script writing process of Toy Story, actually. That there were like too many people throwing down other ideas. Oh, make it more edgy. Do this, do that, do this. And then they wrote exactly what they wanted, and it was garbage. And they took it and then threw it away and did what they wanted to do, and then it was brilliant.
Yeah.
So trusting yourself is a big thing.
It's hard to do. It's hard to do that.
What's in your iPod? Like, what are you listening to?
I don't
right now?
have one.
Same. I have an iPhone, but
Everything's on. I just have tons of stuff on my computer, and I listen to a lot of music my kids listen to. My daughter especially, and I love Regina Spektor. I just think she's such a great artist and writer and singer and person. You know, all film scores. I have a lot of Hans Zimmer stuff, but everybody, John Powell.
Yeah, John Powell.
You know, the Newmans. You know, I mean, there's just so many. All the big composers just do such remarkable work. I like Green Day.
Sorry, go ahead.
I like punk pop. You know, I like you know, like My Chemical Romance. You know, the Black Parade.
Okay, I love you so much right now. Those are like my 2 favorite bands.
Black Parade is like, you know, I mean, they will never equal that record. It is.
I know,
and that
it's
song,
so good.
It's just remarkable.
It's so good. I love it. Yeah.
Remarkable. What else am I listen to everything. I love all the Tejano music on the radio in Los Angeles. I listen to it. They get such a, you know, it's amazing what they do with the tuba and the accordion, and the playing is so in the pocket and just
super
good,
tight.
good folk music, good tight Tejano. I love it.
You know what's funny? I've never heard folk music from any region of the world that I didn't like.
Yeah.
Whether it's Japanese or Indian or English or French or African or American. I love folk music.
Yeah.
Okay. I had one other question, but of course, I completely forgot what it was.
Anybody else out there have a question?
If anybody else has a question, you can go to the wonderfully attractive man in the ball cap over there, Cowboy Dave. Any other questions?
You guys are pretty quiet.
Oh, we got one.
We have somebody coming up. Have another person. People.
And quiet is not a bad thing. You've been a wonderful audience so far. Very tentative, very polite. Thank you.
Quiet is good.
Yeah.
I try to find space. 10. 10.
10.
10.
10, 9, 8.
That's fine, because we're filling time.
We're
now.
filling it great, yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Was it your idea to use Ride of the Valkyries in May the Best Pet Win?
No, it was Jason's or Woody's. I don't know who tempted in.
The director of that episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was either Woody or Jason. It was dropped in there. I said, "Are you guys kidding me? I gotta do this Wagner thing."
But it's perfect. I just
no.
And she's like, "Oh well, I liked it."
That was really hard to do, you know.
Have you ever had a moment like that where it's like you were really stoked to write a piece of music or something? You're like, "Oh, we'll just go with the temp music that we put in."
Yeah.
Just keep-
No. Yeah, that happens all the time. You have to not, you have to not take it personally and get too
Yeah.
emotionally attached to all your children. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
They go off to strange places.
Oh, you know what? I totally remembered what I was just going to say. We are still accepting other questions, but I do want to ask this. A bit of advice that I got from a director that I worked with in New York, where I was working in live theater, and he said, Andy, you've got no excuse not to read like 2 or 3 plays a week. Just like if you've never read, it doesn't matter if you think it's good or bad. Just read plays. And I kind of feel like as a musician, that's really important too, especially if you're composing for soundtracks. Like you said, listening to whether it's Howard Shore or Giacchino or Elfman or anything. Just listen to as much as you can, eh?
Yeah, it's funny in a way. It takes. Sometimes I just want to go watch a movie and not think about it.
Yeah.
But I'm always listening. God,
Oh.
listen to that kick drum sound, or like, what did he do here? God, they chose to play through that. I bet you, like, he had to do that. And
Yeah.
It wasn't his idea.
Yeah, so it's like, no, we have to have sad music here. The audience isn't going to know it's sad unless you have that violin playing.
A friend of mine does a lot of reality TV. I saw him last night at Disney Concert Hall. He came to great fame or fortune or both on all the what's that gross out show where they eat bugs and stuff?
Fear Factor?
Fear
Or
Factor. He did all
whatever.
those, and we used to do stuff together. And he was God, I forgot where I was going with this. There was some reason I brought Rupert.
Listening to all kinds of music.
Oh yeah, right.
There we
On
go.
his new theme, he's doing Wipeout. I remember, and I shouldn't say this, but I was up for the show. I didn't get it. They hired a guy that always does a reality show, but and then I heard the theme, and I called him up. I go, Rupert, it sounds like you guys temped in "Live and Let Die" by Paul McCartney, and the guy just knocked it off. Silence, because I
Yeah.
was right.
Yeah, dude. I mean, how frustrating is that? I mean, I know that happens all the time where it's like they bring you the temp score, and it's like if you're not copying it note for note,
I know.
they're just not happy. And it's like, do you really want me here?
It's,
It's like-
I know. It's called, we call it temp track love.
Yeah.
And the problem is they see it over and over and over while they're looking at it, thinking about it, editing it, and then they can't hear anything else but for the score. And if you get so close that they like it, you get sued for copyright infringement.
And suddenly it's your fault.
So yeah, the temp score, it's a blessing and a curse. I wish that they would at least let me have a swing at it before
putting it
I get all that stuff in my head.
Just piano at least.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Just please let me have a swing at it. That's what you hired me for. And then if I miss it, let's go listen to some stuff and go, you know what? Can it be more like this?
Yeah.
But that it doesn't happen all the time.
Oh, well. Comes the breaks.
Hey, I wanted to know if you agreed that when you explained about how when you stopped listening to people's input and then you made something that was awesome, kind of related to the episode where Rarity was making all their dresses and then they put in their input and then it turned out terrible. But then once they let her do her job, then it was amazing.
Life is exactly like the show. It's exactly, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good observation.
Yeah.
I think anybody who's done commission work can watch that episode and be like, oh, I know where you're coming from, Marty. Leave me alone. I know what I'm doing.
That show is a lot about, that episode is a lot about the approval process of My Little Pony.
Just in general.
It's written about the show.
So is it Woody in the back that's like, it needs to be 20% cooler?
It's what it's
Kinda,
about.
yeah, a little bit.
It's totally what it's about. Go watch that one again, I'm telling you.
With new appreciation.
Thank you.
Nobody saw the irony. I would talk about it, and nobody the irony was lost on them because it was really more from the writer's point of view. But I mean, it was exactly my experience, and but no one cared. I was like, hey, this is my story here, you know. And they're like, yeah, whatever, Will.
Hi. So my name's Jason. So I wanted to know, like, do you listen to classical piano music, like Liszt, Beethoven, that sort of stuff?
Yes.
Oh, wait, what's your favorite piano piece?
You know, I don't. You know, there's just so many great works of genius and transcendently beautiful music. I wouldn't know where to start. I mean, I love Chopin. I love Ravel. I love Bach. You know, Rachmaninoff was a remarkable piano player. Opus 26, Chopin's Etude. I think that's it's very famous. Opus 26, Chopin. My daughter's been playing it on piano. I think that's it. It's a very famous melody. It's just so beautiful. There's, you know, how can I say? I'm humbled.
It's all good, right?
Yeah.
Can you like hum a few bars from that? Like, what do you think? What it sounds like?
This is now performance by William Anderson.
No, I can't pull it up. I'm too nervous. I feel like I'm on stage or something. I am.
You're on table. It's okay.
Wait, which etude was that?
I think it's Opus 26. I just bought the sheet music.
Okay.
Basically anything by Chopin, you won't go wrong.
You know.
Oh, the Polonaise?
I think it's one of the nocturnes.
Okay. I shall make you a YouTube video of me playing it.
Ah.
Oh, YouTube.
You talk about so many of the characters having themes. I was wondering if Twilight has a theme, considering how ubiquitous she is.
You know what? She doesn't. It's so true. You know, all these other ones have such, and then I always go, you know what? She doesn't have a thing. She doesn't have a thing to her.
But you know what's so cool, though, is that Twilight kind of is the center of what the entire show is about, and the show changes from episode to episode so much. So, you know, maybe not having that boiled down into one thing is
well, you know, Tara was snotty to me, and so you know what? No theme
no
for
theme
you,
for
bitch.
you, Tara Strong.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding.
She gets enough themes from the fan community anyway, so.
I'm totally kidding. She's charming and nice person.
Please don't hurt us.
Who's your favorite pony?
Rarity.
Nice. EQLA, thank you so much for coming out here. William Anderson, thank you so much for this fantastic panel. It's
Thank
been
you guys
amazing.
for coming.
William Anderson.